I'll start out. Hey, my name is Phil the Cruz. Welcome to episode of Cruising with Phil. I have a special guest, a fellow candidate from last year, ran in the Ward 20, right?
Ward 21, I think, Scarborough Southwest. Is it Ward
Yeah.
20? I can't remember. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Scarborough Southwest, yeah.
Yeah, I met this guy last year. I like the way he talks. I like the way he writes. He's a good writer. His name is Corey David. Hey, Corey, how you doing, buddy?
Good, good. Very good to be here. Thanks for having me, Phil.
Yeah, good.
Philip.
So tell all the people who you are and what you're all about.
Yeah, I'm Corey David. I live in Scarborough, Toronto. I currently work for the TTC as a driver operator. I've been politically active for the last at least 5 years, probably a bit longer than that. First getting involved with Socialist Action and through them getting involved in the NDP Socialist Caucus and the Workers' Action Movement, which is like a labor front, a labor what do you call it? It's a it's a group that tries to bring people in the labor movement together to fight for a more worker-centered approach to the labor struggle. Anyways, and yeah, so I've been doing a lot of, mostly what I do is propaganda work. I've obviously I'm trying to get involved in this union in the TDC, the ATU 113, to push the labor struggle there to the left, to a workers' agenda. I've, as you mentioned, run for city council, trying to build a workers' government, and just trying to promote a lot of important things like anti-imperialism, environmentalism, anti-poverty stuff, workers' power, and anyways, that kind of stuff. So I've been doing that kind of work, trying to bring people together and trying to I guess educate people or inform them on what's going on and what I think about it, I guess, given what I've experienced and what I know. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. Probably just rambling a bit.
So are you raised in Scarborough your whole life?
Yeah, I was born in I think Scarborough East General, and I pretty much bounced around the Birchcliff area in Scarborough most of my life. I in my 20s I lived downtown for most of my 20s. But yeah, I'm back in Scarborough now, back in Birchcliff area, Scarborough Southwest.
Yeah, I bet you we met at the Junction last year, right? Scarborough Junction.
We met. Where did we meet? I think we
Yeah,
might have met.
I knew who you
The
are
community
because
center,
I read.
Is it Warden Woods Community Center when they did the
Yeah,
walk?
yeah. Because no, I met Alana and Barry and all the other guys because I saw your picture on their sheet there, so I knew who you were before I met you. Then at the Scarborough Junction, what's her name? Sasha, just do the tour.
Yeah.
That's when
The
I recognize
East
you right
Rail
away.
Path, East Rail Path project or
Yeah,
whatever
that's it.
they're
They
trying
start
to do.
talking. I liked
Yeah.
your speech you did on your cell phone when you on your presentation. And I watched your debate when on the podcast there during the election. So hey, you're a good writer. You have a way of putting your words in your head down on paper. Like, where'd you learn how to write so well?
I have no idea. I guess was kind of interested in creative writing. I don't know, but I've read a lot of political stuff. I don't know. I don't think I'm the best writer, especially when it comes to grammar and stuff. But I try. I think I've worked out how to kind of take my thoughts and kind of put them together in a cohesive way, I guess,
It's
on the
nice.
paper, onto the screen. Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching the debate the other day, and I was listening to your words. Like, you have a way of wording it in a way people don't understand it. It's intense and it's strict and it's pretty straightforward. So like like Phil Mills last year, he's asked me to help him during the election for his writing and all that. He's also a really good writer too. He's not one to talk like me. We were really shy back then. Now he's more vocal, but yeah, it's just a natural gift or whatever. That's so cool.
Yes,
So you been I'm gonna ask you, what did you
that's
first
pretty cool.
sorry, when did you first decide to start volunteering? Like, what was the first thing you did at your?
Well, like in terms of political activity, the first thing I think I was my friend invited me to what Social Action used to do. I don't think they've done it lately because of COVID, but they might start doing it again, called Socialism in the Park, where they do like they do one of the cornerstone talks of socialism, like so like what was it, like national liberation or uh like left opposition. Anyway, just cornerstone stuff of socialist philosophy, um just kind of like basic stuff. But I mean, it's I guess, anyway. So I went to one of those things in Christie Pitts Park, And then I basically asked at the end of it, asked how do you unite the left? You know, the number one question that I feel like every leftist wants to know, especially like new leftists or whatever. How do you unite the left? And and I got some talk from Barry about how the left should unite, but it shouldn't unite on any basis. It needs to unite on a principled basis. And then he told me I should join Social Faction, and I did. And then I started doing stuff with them.
That's where I met them last year. I met them at Christie Fist last year. First get together for the election, the candidates
Yeah.
there. I met Sarah and Isabel, a whole bunch of us, and then their table was over there by the park, by the end of the park there. So I went to go see what's going on there. I met Atlanta, Barry, and Wally came after. You weren't there yet. I think you weren't. No, I think you don't think you were there. No. But that's why I
Yeah,
got
I've
to
been
know.
pretty busy with like the work stuff and my own personal stuff, so I haven't been as active in the social faction. But yeah, that's the Municipal Social Alliance, which is a united front organization. That's what I was trying to find earlier. A
Yeah.
united front organization built around SA, trying to bring like-minded people together to fight for a workers' government at City Hall. Yeah.
I read some of your a little bit of your bio. You've been. I was saying, oh, back to your volunteer. I was about to ask you, when was the first time you started volunteering, like besides politics, like way back, like when? What got interested in volunteering to help people out?
I don't know. I guess I wouldn't say that I did a lot of volunteering before I joined Social Faction. Like I did volunteering at the community center and stuff when I was in high school or whatever, but mostly just I don't know, but like I've always, not always I guess, but like my parents were all right and they taught me some stuff about caring about like the social fabric, about other people, about um people when they're down, but they went through their ups and downs, you know, on what the, you know, what they thought was the best way to support people who needed help and whatever. So and then I guess I learned from them and learned from seeing things in the community, uh, and through I guess other family members and friends. Uh, um, so yeah, I don't know, but I guess what really pushed me socially, I got into socialism when I was in high school, but I would say it was much more of a sort of cosmetic or not a very deep understanding or connection to it. When I was in high school, it was much more on the surface. But I joined the army briefly.
I remember that.
I got a voluntary release out of it. Yeah, I joined the army right out of high school, and
Which are
I was actually able to quit. They actually let me quit
were the
after about a month
reserves?
and a half.
Oh,
No, the regular forces. I went to
you did. Where, you went to
yeah, I
Cornwallis?
didn't finish boot camp. It's nothing really big, but I did join, and I was there for 6 weeks or so, or 8 weeks.
We're in Cornwallis? In
But
Cornwallis or
I got out of there. Huh?
in Cornwallis? You went to Cornwallis?
No, I went to Saint John, Quebec,
Oh, they're
which is
doing.
just
Oh,
south
they
of
switched it over there by then. Okay, yeah.
Montreal. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
I don't know why we went there, but that's where we went. Yeah,
Yeah, because they closed down Cornwallis after they moved everything to Quebec after all basic training. Yeah, because
yeah. But
I joined in '86 in Cornwallis and we basic training, and then we did our French course in Quebec, and then a couple of years later they shut down the base and they made everything into the basic training was in Quebec. All courses went over there.
oh, I
And
didn't know
that's
you were in the military. Oh wow. Oh,
Alan didn't tell you that? You're kidding?
no, I didn't know that. Yeah,
Yeah,
5 years? Did you do
no, 20 years.
20 years? Oh my
I
God, you have
did.
a pension.
I got yeah,
You get a pension?
I did 4 years of reserves. Yeah, and then Atlanta's also she's a military brat too. Like she knows she that's why we get along so good because she knows the scope of all the military aspects and all. You know. So never mind me. Back to you. I was gonna ask you.
That's crazy. Oh, sorry. So just I'll get to it. I was in the military. Just one thing that really stuck out because I just mentioned the pension. There was this old guy who was in the military and he left to go paramedic and then he came back because he wanted to get his pension back.
Yeah,
And when I was leaving, he had like blown out his knee. Oh, it was brutal. The guy was like probably almost 60. No, maybe he's in his 50s. I don't know.
and
But
he came back.
yeah, but he was trying to get the pension, but he was destroying his body.
Yeah,
And
because
some of
there's
the
no
staff
age
were trying to get him
yeah there's
to
no age limit in the
bypass
military.
the basic training. Why are you going to make this guy do basic training again, right?
There's no age
Like he's
limit in the
already
military.
served.
I can join. I can go back and join if I want, but there's no age. I don't know if they have it now, but back then there's no age limit. You could join at 45, or even like that guy 60 or whatever, just to go get his pension. You know, yeah, it's there's no age limit for joining the military back then.
Yeah, it depends how the recruiting numbers are looking. I think if they're having problems recruiting,
Yeah.
they open it up, right? Yeah.
Let's go check out the
Anyway,
seniors. Let's go check out the seniors home. Get those people joined.
they need something to do. They're struggling, right? They need a job.
What the fuck? What do you want with me? I'm trying to serve my country.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So after the military, when I got back, I started working in a group home for people with intellectual disabilities,
Oh, nice.
and
Yeah.
just yeah, it was a very good experience. It was hard in some ways, definitely very difficult with a lot of the troubles that people have, both from lack of support and just because it's very difficult. Obviously, having severe intellectual disabilities, it's difficult to not only just to get your basic needs, which is a problem, but also just to integrate and get like well, you could say social, like socialization or whatever. So being with other people, being with community is basic. I think it is, but that was a major issue. Anyway, so that really opened up my eyes to what some people go through and what some people's lives are like, who are on the fringe, I guess, or on the margins of society, and so that really I don't know, it really opened my eyes to, I guess, other people's lives and just the systems that exist that don't exactly help people, but keep them I don't know, in poverty and whatever. And there's not like an easy solution. I don't know. But that's what really pushed me, I guess, to do social activism and stuff.
When you joined the MSA, were you thinking of like, did you join? Were you thinking of joining the running for election back then when you joined the MSA? When did you join the MSA back? A year ago or a year before the?
I ran for an election before the MSA existed for Socialist Action. There was a by-election during COVID in Scarborough Agincourt, and I ran in the by-election up there,
Okay, cool.
on a Socialist Action label.
Was
But
the
that was before the municipal. That was like the precursor to the MSA. So after
okay,
that campaign, they sort of developed the MSA as a way to move beyond just Socialist Action and try to involve other people.
okay. The by-election
Yeah.
for Scarborough. What was the reason for that by-election? Somebody left.
Scarborough Agincourt.
Yeah.
The I think it was the sitting councillor uh
Oh, what's his name?
got
Crack.
caught.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Karajanis. Is it Karajanis? Yeah,
yeah, yeah. The long,
Karajanis.
yeah. It's got a long name. Yeah, he got caught. Was it oh, was it money? I can't remember now. Can't remember what it was. Something about money. He wrote.
There's a guy that exposed him. There's a guy that exposed him making deals, I think, or something like that, or whatever. I think it was something like that. And that guy ran as well. And he was an interesting guy, but he thought, anyways, yeah. So that's what happened. Because
Okay, so
Karajanis got caught
I remember
doing
that. So that's
something.
when you're out. So then you ran it by like, how'd you do anyways back then?
Not very well. I think I got 80 votes or something like that.
That's good.
70,
80,
80
so 80,
votes.
80
It was all
people
right.
believe
It was
you.
all right coming out of nowhere and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got to, what was cool about it though was not the votes, but was getting to, I mean, you campaign, so you know what it's like, but I got to go to a strike that was going on at Tropicana Community Center, where a bunch of, where mostly, I guess some office staff, but mostly daycare workers were on strike at this community center, which is pretty cool. Um, I mean, it's
You get,
obviously not cool that they had to go on strike and they weren't,
yeah,
because
you get invited to all these
they had
groups.
just
Yeah.
unionized and the company locked them out like
Oh,
right
really?
away.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
but it was nice going up there and supporting them and talking to them and getting quite a good reception from them. And then the pandemic was raging, so we were outside some of the long-term care homes where they were just like, I guess a lot of people were being isolated, but a lot of people were also dying and stuff. And meanwhile, Mike Harris was getting the Order of Ontario while he's an owner of Cart Chartwell or whatever. Oh, that's just disgusting. Anyway, so got some good media coverage out of that campaign.
That's
It was all
good.
right.
Cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
seen this. I seen some of your pictures. I saw some of the pics there. I think some of the ads or whatever. There's a well, I think you're in front of a senior center. I can't remember. There's one picture I saw of you there. And what we're going. I like it. I call you the fighter for the unheard. People that don't have a voice to speak up. You're kind of like that guy that steps in for the righteousness because the people are left out. They don't know what to do. They're not lost, but they don't have all the knowledge to get things done. But you got that kind of that knack about you. Just need your background. Just I like about that. Yeah, so cool.
Yeah,
The,
I got you. Sorry, go ahead.
so the election. So what made you decide to run again for this last year's election, the ward?
Well, no, I guess no one was running that I thought I wanted to get behind, really, that were representing my politics or my politics, what I care about and what I think. So I wanted to put that on the ballot, and I wanted to try and run a principled campaign. I didn't really have illusions about winning. I was surprised actually I got so many votes because I was in training at the TDC at that time, and I wasn't really able to put a
I
lot
didn't
of
see
effort
it.
into the campaign.
You
Yeah, I
were
wasn't doing
yeah,
my campaigning.
yeah, I didn't see
Mostly
the
just
debate.
legal
Yeah,
stuff.
you're one of the few that not the debate there. I think you're the only one there. How'd you do in the election, this last one?
I got what did I get? 600 votes or 300 votes? I can't remember. A couple hundred votes. It might have been 600. I can't remember. So I was quite surprised. I think it was something like that. Yeah. But I was glad to
Your
see the
name?
amount of support. I know I got some support from the local NDP riding and their family because I am involved in the Scarborough Southwest NDP Electoral District Association.
Yeah.
So I got some support from them and probably some support from people that know me in the riding because like I said I grew up here and stuff. I don't know. That's just my guess. But yeah, I was glad to get. I was very surprised and glad to get that amount of support, even though it wasn't really
And
a
you're more known
threat.
now because your name's already out there since last election, right? By election. So your
Yeah,
name.
I think I have some. I think I have a little bit of cred.
It's just
I don't
it's
know.
funny that you don't think like you got surprised at your votes. It's surprising when you go out there and you find like people actually recognize you. Like I was the other day at my Walmart, the people I know there, right? He's hey, I voted for you. What happened? Who ripped off the election? I didn't know who he was. I go, oh, thanks for voting, man. Really shook his hand, got his name and all that, and yeah, I see him all the time. One of the employees at Walmart. Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, just doing shopping. But that's what happened. You get your name out there, like you've been in an election before, so your 600 votes. That's not. Yeah, I wouldn't have been. That's not surprising. You're known now, right? And you're also known as a fighter for the righteous. I say the righteous for the for pure democracy. I call it.
I try. I don't try to. I try not to be an idealist, but I try to do what's good. I guess.
What
I don't know.
motivates you for the constant fight? You never saw like you never say like what's it worth it or like does it ever end or what? Like what keeps you going for fighting for the people?
Well, yeah, it's definitely not ending anytime soon. It seems like there's a lot going on. I mean, I don't know. I look at the world and here in Canada, it's not. I mean, it's bad if you're Indigenous, I guess, because you've been through freaking the end of the world pretty much with basically a genocide. Not basically, it was a genocide. And what went on. But I just look at like a lot of the third world, developing world, and just the conditions that people live in there. I mean, obviously not everybody; they have their own ruling classes and their own privileged people. But the majority of people there, and it just makes me. I can't even fathom it because I can't even. I've never been in it, right? So I can't even fathom what it's like to be like I'd say like a child mining somewhere or a child soldier somewhere or whatever, right? And it just makes me think about how all these things come to be, and a lot of it can be traced back to like you can't blame everything, I guess, on the big systems and the imperialist powers that be, but they are the main drivers of this stuff, of this exploitative economy, and this violence that's used to either scare people or to force them into doing the work that makes people rich and makes them powerful. So just I guess that motivates me. It seems daunting sometimes. Like as one individual, I can do nothing pretty much, right? And that's the task is to try and get everyone together and to work together because if we can do that, then we can definitely overthrow this thing. And everyone comes from different privileges and different places and stuff. But the vast majority of us are exploited and used for the benefit of the few, of the ruling class, right? So that's what motivates me, is that I want to tear that down, and I always say it might not even happen in my lifetime, but if I can contribute to it, I'm sure it'll happen down the road. And
Yeah, well
hopefully we don't have to
the
hopefully we don't have to
model
go through an apocalypse to get there, but I mean, I believe we'll get there. I see the humanity, people see a lot of bad stuff, but I always see the humanity in people. Working for the BDC, I always see people helping people in and out of the streetcar.
yeah, slowly.
I see
Yeah.
people standing up for each other. Even people like who you might see this little woman or whatever stand up to this big guy, right? You see it, and then you see people back her, right? So like I see the beauty of humanity and the potential, and I think it's there. I just think that it's so people are so atomized, so isolated, and so they have no hope that they can have a better life, and they have no. There's a line in that movie. I love the line. Anyways, the line is if people don't see a solution to a problem, they just learn how to put up with the problem, right?
What's the
And so
movie?
that's the challenge. It's the Boots Riley movie. Sorry to bother you. It's about this guy who works at what's it called, a company where they call you and try to sell you stuff. Uh, he works there, and then they try to organize a union there, and they separate him from everybody. and they try to give him all kinds of privileges and stuff, and then he gets to hang out with like the CEO and gets to make all kinds of money. But then he just sees how messed up these people are and how messed up it is, anyways. But it was the union organizer that said that. It said, if people don't see a solution to the problem, they just learn how to put up with the problem, right? You know, if you just have a sore on your leg but you have no medicine, then I guess you just do the best you can, right? You just keep living as long as you can.
Carry
right?
on, yeah.
So that's the challenge, right? Is to actually find or construct a solution, right? And that's the big challenge. You know, we talk. The thing is the labor movement, right? We want to get the labor movement, I guess, to wake up and to be more militant and to be more active and to really to eventually take power. But uh,
Yeah.
that's
Hey, Court,
that's its own problem. Yeah,
what's
yeah.
what union? What number is your union for TTC?
ATU 113. Yeah.
Okay, I gotta ask this funny question. During the election, the mayor election, just okay, all these I got nothing against unions. No, not really, but they had like say one of the candidates, they had these different unions all backing her up. And one of the unions was part of the librarians. And I talked to many librarians I know well. I've gone to 50 libraries, and they tell me the same thing. They said, who took my vote from me? You know, they're saying because they're saying the union, 10,000 people, this union of the librarians or whatever, they support this candidate. So the question is, who gave them the right to take my vote away from me? Because I don't support that person. But yet the union say we as a union and all these people, this conglomerate, support this candidate. So what do you think about that?
Well, I guess it's kind of like any democracy, and I mean, there may be better ways to do it. Like some unions I know or some organizations will support multiple candidates because they'll be like, some of us support this guy, some of us support this guy. So they'll say, okay, well, we're not going to say that we support any one candidate, but we support like these are the people that we think would be good, right? You make a decision. We like these people, you know. One person being selected is like kind of our first past the post system where it's like whatever the majority vote is or whatever,
Yeah.
or because the majority voted for this executive, this leadership, whatever they say is what the whole union says. So yeah, you do lose. It's the same argument for proportional representation, right? Where you would like to have proportional representation even in that, right? The problem is a lot of unions are more like we call them like business unions now. They more so just are disconnected from their own workers, their own union members, the leaders I'm talking about, the executive, and the staff of the unions. They're disconnected from their actual the workers, the union members, and they more so facilitate the relationship between the union and the company. But the way they do that is they alienate themselves from the workers. So they take all the responsibilities and all the decision making away. I mean, they don't do all of it. I'm just being a bit dramatic, but they take the responsibilities and the decision making away from the union members and they put it in their own hands, right? And then and then what they say is what the union says, right? Instead of the union actually having to say, the union is in the whole union, all the members, right?
Yeah,
All the members.
and you guys pay union dues, right?
Oh, but yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
union dues are mandatory here. I think in the US, the union dues are not mandatory.
So if you're paying union,
There's always that debate. I mean, they
yeah,
talk about it here about voluntary union dues. And I mean, I guess in a sense, maybe people could have good arguments for voluntary union dues, but the whole point is that the union like makes us strong, right? Like together we're strong. So if you have some people splitting off, and it's just going to weaken the whole thing, right? It's like if you
yeah.
want to be a member of the union, then you got to pay union dues.
But what about like
If
people that,
you don't want to be a member of the union, then go get a different job. I guess I don't know.
yeah. But what about like some people I've talked to that are part of
For
different unions?
corporate
They always say
management,
that.
Sorry.
I talked to quite a few people in different unions, and some of them say that like I pay dues, my voice is not heard, like you just said already about the conglomerate of representation, all that. So like say, well, I'm paying, I gotta be part of the union, but my voice is not being heard, and I'm paying my dues. It's not right. Like for say like accidents or even compensation or whatever. I know it's like
Yeah, and I mean, and like I said, I'm being dramatic, but like some unions are better than others. But when I worked for the group homes, like I was with CUPE, and I think I saw my a union member when I got my orientation, my job orientation, and then I think I saw them like one or maybe two other times during my like 6-year career
oh
there.
really okay.
So I never saw the union. They were not at all engaged in it. I mean, I was a part-time worker, like doing full-time hours, which is another issue, you know, the union should be dealing with. If you're working
Yeah,
full-time hours, you should be a full-time staff, right? And I did that for like six years. And so many part-timers do. I mean, that's part-time workers are exploited like that all the time. They do
change that.
full-time work, but they yeah, oh, it's brutal. And the
They want to
union's not
change
on
it. They
top
want
of
to be,
that.
I
So
don't know,
yeah,
35 hours.
I mean, I would say that those people should get involved in their union, right? I mean, unfortunately, it's the reality that a lot of members face is they feel like their union does not represent them, does not look out for them, is not really working hard for them. And unfortunately, the only solution is and it's not unfortunate. It's just that it is not, it's not an easy thing. Is that you have to get involved and actually fight for better leadership and better accountability. Because that's the beautiful thing about unions is they are internally democratic. At least they should be. Like they can write all kinds of rules in their constitutions to circumvent that or to give powers to certain people. But at the end of the day, like what makes them a union is that they're a democratic organization of workers, right? And if that ceases to be the case, and they're not going to be a union anymore, and they're going to be irrelevant. So yeah, so even the worst misleaders, I guess, of the labor movement know that. And they know they can't just totally remove the workers from the equation, the membership from the equation.
Like
Um,
last year's
but
strike, or the last year? No, yeah, last year's protest when they what were they cutting down the nurses? No, not the nurses, was it? Education.
yeah, it
Was
was
it nurses?
both, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Didn't
There's a
expect that. And
wildcat
then,
nursing strike here, I think. No,
yeah,
there's a wildcat education worker strike.
yeah, yeah. And
Uh,
they protested that. They changed their tone after that. I think
oh,
it.
that was awesome. That just
Yeah, I
shows you
thought.
the power of
But you don't
workers,
really.
right?
I know. Norm Pascali was part of that. What got me more mad was I was talking to a few of them before they, because they said we're gonna, if you stop strike, if you stop protesting, we'll go to the table and make a deal. And I said that don't stop until they make the deal first. So they stopped, they made the deal, and then they started backing off when they were going to agree to it. It happens all the time, right? Well, don't protest, we'll make a deal. Then they don't follow through all the way like they wanted, they asked you, right? The deal or the representation. It's funny. We're not going back about talk about monarchy when I was in the military. This is funny. People don't realize this. When like some of these countries get hit by disasters, we got all the surplus of aid from Canada, different countries. Billions of product relief going there to the countries. To this day, even this is back in the '80s, we were there in our uniform, thousands of troops in different countries, millions of product to give to like say a disaster, like one of some of the countries we helped, like flooding and fire. But you know what? We couldn't give it to them because of the monarchy. The government won't allow it because they're now some countries will not allow foreign aid to this day. That was back in the '80s. It was really piss off. Student life just pissed me off. You would sit there. Here's these people over there, half a mile, starving, dying. Here's a product here, but the government won't allow that. When I talk about these about monarchy, about the efficiency of this. It's funny, yeah. Like even now, like the last disaster we had there last year, all going to what they, well, Ukraine.
Turkey or
Really,
oh,
yeah,
Ukraine.
yeah, Turkey, yeah, all that money that went there. Half that stuff they won't even go to the people. People don't realize that. They never. I like to see them do like a camera follow up where they actually show all those items to say Canada. This is like a whole palette of items. Let's see, go to the people. Show the camera. They don't show that. You know why? Because they're not going to show it, and because they're not going to go. Maybe someone will, but not to this day. That's what it turns me off about that whole thing about donating and all that. I mean, that's great donating, but
And humanitarian aid or any kind of aid, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Even
for
like
sure. Like you don't.
even that group, what's our group here? What's that firm called? Our aid group, what do they call it? CISA? So I can't remember what they call it. So they, soon as there's a disaster, they all load the pallet, they go flying over there and all that stuff. But they should tell the whole story, not just what we call it, photo ops, looking good, right? I'm nothing against it, but
Yeah, photo ops, headlines, yeah.
headlines and all that,
No, yeah, and
it's
I mean, I think a lot of the time you don't know where it ends up, or it ends up in very selective. Like there's tons of great of reasonably good charity work, I would say, but it's all very selective and stuff. I mean, and that's I don't know. That's what you see with like on a smaller scale, anyways, with community organizing is like the communities that organize, they take care of themselves more so, right? But you see when people do that, the city services and stuff will come and try to take it away from them, right? Like I was involved in the homeless protests, right? Like you know that,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and the people that were trying to help them were pretty much criminalized, right? And it's not new; it's happened, and it's happened a lot in the states because the states is even more messed up than here in terms of their like sociological I don't know, disdain for community work. But but yeah, people who are actually trying to help people are criminalized and they're arrested, you know, and they're forced not to be able to bring food. Um, the oh man, Mayor John Tory was terrible. You know, he was saying these people are a problem and they're interfering with city workers trying to get these people into houses and stuff. But the shelter systems are all overflowing. They're closing them. They're evicting people from parks. Like the city is not interested in helping poor people or homeless people, right?
No, we
And
know
it's just
that.
like the same thing you're saying about the global humanitarian aid. It's not about really helping people. It's about look what we're doing or whatever, right? Like trying to make us look better, right? We're providing all this humanitarian aid. Meanwhile, it ends up in the hands of those governments or those organizations, and they might do the right thing, but they might pocket it. They might only give it to their friends or their
Yeah.
communities or whatever, right? Yeah.
There's just a thing
So
on the Scarborough on the news 2 days ago. Guy Scarborough food, one of Scarborough food banks. He said he's one of the spokes. I'm gonna get an interview. I want to do an interview. He said that 51% are now are refugees using the food banks, right? On government living government housing or homes or whatever. But he said when he breaks down what they get from government, it's 51% refugees coming from different countries living in food banks, living in limited housing. And then they say he broke it down. He said like by the time they get down to all the expenses, they're down to like $3 per month for themselves. So my question is, I like it, bringing immigration over, but the problem is they're bringing people over, but they're well, you see them put on the streets. Look at the news right after Libya got elected. Look at all that. What was the solution there? And I got nothing against churches. I'm a Catholic, but you know what? Stop with the showpieces of showing that you're doing a good job with churches. Because right now I talked to two people down there. He said out of one church, there's 200 people and there's one washroom, one bathroom, two
holy
washrooms.
crap.
No showers, nothing. But I asked, I
What
told,
if that breaks down? What if it breaks down? Oh my God.
I
Yeah.
said, why don't you put some showers there? And there some churches have showers, but they won't allow them to use them. So it's not my, what's that? NB, not in my backyard, not in my church. But just it's daunting. Like when people with disabilities, people with special needs. That was one guy from one of the African countries. He's telling me, nice guy. He's like, this is ridiculous. He says, I could have just stayed in my own country. I would have more space than this. You know, it's funny, yeah. Like and they have
Yeah.
people and put them in apartments. Like have like see they don't put anything like I don't even if you agree with this. Like during this whole election, there was not any coverage whatsoever about the people's voices, what they thought, what they view, what's going on in their society. Well, everything we talk about, you need to that. Food banks is my thing. Everybody knows my thing is food banks. Wasn't even talk about. Look what's going on. Now they're putting food banks on the news. Like the other day, Scarborough food banks downtown, Fort York food bank. They put that in the news. Well, why is that an election? They had a food bank debate at how was it that I forgot Harp no, I forget the name. But anyways, the guy representing they're all talking about housing, in front of a food bank industry, and they were calling me
Yeah.
and said,
So
well,
much, so much for
that's your
news coverage, right? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you're the
They
guy.
don't want to make
Out of
some people look bad.
no, I mean
Sorry.
like I said,
Sorry.
so all the candidates like every year has their own like last year all the candidates like Isabel's housing, Chloe's Bow's housing, and means food bags and or not food bags, food security, right? And like in this year, like that's all. It's like I guarantee, like my campaign platform, you've seen it. The same subjects will be the same categories for the next election. It's gonna be the same thing. We can't solve a housing problem. You're not being realistic. I don't know how you feel about that, but well, what would you do for housing if you had the power within you right now, say, let's go, Corey, what do you do? What would you decide in a nice
I
way?
would I would expropriate every corporate landlord for sure. Probably every individual house that is being rented out, I would expropriate, turn it public or
Yeah.
whatever. Individual units like subunits that are part of other houses. I don't know. Maybe those can continue. Like this is a dream because this is not what happens, right? This is not going to happen. And what needs to happen is workers actually take power and take the housing for themselves. workers are being exploited at work, and then they're being exploited at home because they're being exploited to pay someone else's bills.
Yeah.
They're paying way too much in housing, right? Meanwhile, they're the ones doing all the work that keeps society going. So they're being exploited at work. Their boss is making money, and their landlord's making money. They're being screwed at both ends, man. So
Landlords, oh my god.
we need to, wake up and take power, and that's the solution. That's what I would do if I could. And I don't even want to do it as a dictator or something like that. I want the fucking working class to do it.
Well, they had the protest downtown.
That's a fight because you have the fucking police, you have the city, you have the government, you have all kinds of stuff you have to deal with. And the law is not on our side. Private property law is a fucking monster. Excuse my language. Private property law is a disgusting monster, and it puts private property above human life even. It's okay for someone to die on the street. It's not okay for someone to go and squat in an empty building.
Yeah, I know.
Like that's the law. That's our legal system. Yeah. So it's messed up. So that's what I would do. But food security, maybe that's a more approachable, maybe there's a solution that's more approachable in this moment in time, outside of the housing solution. I mean, this is all up in the ether, right? If we're talking about actual constructive solutions, I mean, there's rent strikes going on. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Striking on rent. In terms of food security, people shouldn't have to use food banks, but they're a necessity for some people. I mean, we have to. I'm not going to starve people because I think there shouldn't be food banks.
Corey,
unfortunately,
just got a minute and a half left. Do you want to do another session, or you got time? Or
I don't think I have time tonight. It's unfortunate because we're having some good conversation. But maybe we can do another one soon.
So yeah, whatever, on your convenience. And thanks for coming. I know you're busy, so got 1 minute and a half left. Just anything you want to say before I get cut off? Just want to add up for the next interview. Continue all this conversation. I like talking to you. Yeah, I like your ideas and all that, and the way you express yourself.
Thanks for having me, Phil. I really appreciate the platform and your time. And it's nice to talk to you as always as well. I know there's a lot of shit going on, and a lot of it seems it seems like we can't get on top of it, can't get it under control. But I just don't want people to give up hope. I don't want to give up hope.
No.
The world can be a beautiful place in many ways. It is.
It is, like you said.
Unfortunately, we're going to fight for it.
Yeah, everything happening around, things people doing favor for people, helping each other out. I see it all around, and we don't see that. But anyway, we got a Monday left. Thanks for coming on my show. Thanks. I want to have you again. I want to do this continuous talk. I'll leave it off for you. I'll say part 1, part 2 on your convenience, and we'll talk. And I'll send you a copy of the video. And thanks for coming. I know you're busy, and really appreciate it. Nice talking. Nice meeting you. I like you. It's a good guy. Good guy. I like how you fight for people. I love it. So, anyways, have a good night.
This is fighting for the people too, Phil. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. No problem. Yeah,
and I'll try to do another show shortly. Maybe you can put them together. Anyways.
Yeah, we'll do it. Let me know when you're ready. So, anyways, have a good night and just stay cool.
Yeah, you too, man. Good to see you.
Take care.